What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Mosley, and of course, that's the one and only. It is Scott Savage. Scott, welcome back, buddy. It's Monday once again. What's going on?
It feels like it's been an extra long weekend, but I think that's just because I wasn't playing games as I normally do.
I was playing games. I played a lot more God of War, Ragnarok. Dude, I'm going for that platinum.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh man, it didn't take much. Any free time over the weekend, I was like, God of War, God of War. But I worked on a couple review things as well. We'll get into those later, coming up in the near future. But dude, people can join us live every day, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/the official ITG, as well as YouTube. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca, podcast services, TV streaming networks around the globe. Tomorrow, Scott, is a big day. Why? Because we have the ability to stream God of War Ragnarok. The embargo is available for us to start streaming. We will be live at 1 p.m. Eastern streaming God of War Ragnarok from the very beginning. You will not see the end of the game because I will not show you that. That is for you to discover. But I will ruin your first 1 hour experience by playing that for you. So,
or just add unbelievable amount of hype in the case of myself.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's I can't wait to have the discussions with everybody about the game. I think that's the biggest thing. The team and I are going to be working on a spoiler cast, as well as the notes I have taken on this is something I have never done to this extent in my entire life. It is one of those. I was impressed. I was like, wow, I took a lot of notes. that was one step further than we always take notes for our reviews, Scott, but this was like beat for beat as to what happened throughout the game. So when you're scrolling through my phone, it's like page after page after page after page. But yeah, we're pulling in Steve Vagvari, friend of the show. He's going to be coming on to join us, as well as, of course, the old British man himself, Steve Radley from Team Radley, will be joining. So at least three of us will be here to talk about everything God of War Ragnarok. We can't wait to talk about it and explain everything to you guys and spoil it all, because there's a lot to talk about.
And I'm going to try my best to keep Stargate out of the conversation. We'll have to bring it up, thanks to Christopher Judge.
Dude, he nailed it.
I'll keep it to a minimum. Oh, indeed.
Boy. All right, let's get into it. Xbox head Matt Booty comments on players' frustrations with Halo Infinite and how they're working to fix players' concerns. Will the Halo Infinite winter update help solve some issues with the release of the Forge beta? Scott. And Phil Spencer would like to speak with Activision about bringing back some of their old titles to the platform. Ooh. That could be interesting as well. I know a lot of people will be all over that StarCraft experience. Just saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man, now my head's swirling. When did Call of Duty Big Red 1 come out? And for which company? I was a kid, so I can't remember.
Well, we're going to get started here as Xbox head comments on Halo Infinite player frustrations. So Mark over comicbook.com. It's been a rough year for Halo Infinite players. While the game had a very promising launch at the end of 2021, players have been very unhappy with the overall lack of content and substantial updates. While developer 343 Studios is working hard on new content to keep players engaged, Xbox is keenly aware of player frustrations. In a new interview with Friends Per Second podcast, dude, I love that title.
That's a very good title.
That is very good. A shout out to Friends Per Second podcast. Go check that out. That is a cool title. Xbox Game Studios head Matt Moody addressed the game's recent problems and also discussed how the company is working to turn things around. Quote, as is apparent these days with a game like Halo Infinite, shipping the game is just the beginning. There's got to be a plan for for content to stay. Let me start this over. There's got to be a plan for content sustain. There's got to be a plan for regular continuing engagement, and we just fell short on that plan. So we are really entrenched. Where we have got some changes in how the team is set up, and we've got some changes in leadership, and we've just got to really get focused around the sustained content plan and making sure we're bringing a regular update of content for players, said Booty. While the game is not in a state of Xbox seems happy about, there are some big changes coming in the near future. Halo Infinite's winter update is set to release tomorrow, Scott, and it will offer a substantial amount of new content, as well as several quality of life improvements. Players can look forward to new maps, a beta for the long-awaited Forge mode, and changes to Battle Pass progression. It remains to be seen whether 343 Industries can truly sustain this type of content updates, but it certainly seems like a good sign for the future. Xbox obviously has this on everything, with Halo being on Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Scott, is this enough?
I think it's about a year too late almost. And
right.
Although I'm happy to see changes keep coming and come down the way, but there's a notable exception there. No co-op still. And no. I don't recall now, because it's been announced so many times and kind of re-announced, I'm not certain if they said that it would have been the beginning of this season, this winter update would have had it at the beginning. But right. I immediately said, well, they're going to pivot it to the end of that season, that update. We'll see how it goes. But co-op is the big one, in my opinion. A lot of people are behind Forge, and I think that's great. Because if 343 won't provide the maps, we will.
There is that. Yeah.
But this is such a a colossal mess because, and I've done a little bit of reading into it. It seems like 343 Industries employed a lot of people on a 1.5 year long contract. So a lot of these people are kind of coming in and going out, and that inconsistency has led to some obvious issues.
For sure. It's man, it's such a fumble, honestly, with Halo Infinite, and it's everything was just piecemealed out. I think that was the problem. We have major concerns when they first revealed that that's what Xbox and 343 were working on. Okay, hey, here's the anniversary. We're giving you the multiplayer. Great. It came and went, right? That's the other part. Okay, now you're going to get the campaign. Okay, great. That came and went. Now we're going to get Forge mode with the winter update. Dude, it was just going to come and go again, and then we're going to get the co-op experience. Like, it's too far stretched out, right? If it was a matter of, okay, 1 month, here's the multiplayer, next month, here's the campaign. Like, it has to be more on a consistent basis, and it didn't seem like what they were doing was enough to keep it going quick enough to turn around to keep the players engaged. It's one thing to flood the market with everything and go, okay, well, some people are only over in multiplayer, others are not even touching the campaign now because of this. So I can see why you might want to separate this, right? But you have to have it in a better structure, where I think it took too long for the campaign to actually come out, and everybody was on the multiplayer when it was first hot, but there wasn't enough to keep everybody engaged in the multiplayer for them to stick around. It came out, a lot of people loved it, but there wasn't enough there when you take a look at games as service, because that's really what Halo is now turned into, Scott, as of last year. This games as service model, trying to keep everybody engaged, keep everybody coming back day in and day out, and nobody is really doing that. I do want to bring in the next article as well, kind of ties into the conversation, Scott. Okay. Halo Infinite devs share details on Forge beta ahead of its release. This comes from Chris Scullion over at VGC. More information has been shared on the Forge beta in Halo Infinite ahead of its release. The long-awaited mode will be added to the game as of November 8th as part of the wider winter update for Halo Infinite, which will also include new maps, modes, balancing tweaks, matchmaking updates, and a new battle pass. In its edition of Forge mode, however, that many Halo fans will be looking forward to, a new blog post posted by 343 Industries sheds light on how it will be handled. Most notably, the blog states that the Forge will arrive as a beta state. Again, Scott, it's not done. How is this not finished and ready to ship complete?
I'm not certain what would the beta entail. When I'm playing it, is it going to be obvious that it's unfinished? And I wonder why they bother, because it is a constant updating games as service. I'm not sure why you would introduce it as a beta.
I don't know. It's a permanent free update to the game and will not be removed, and neither will any of the content created during the beta period. The Forge mode will originally introduce in Halo 3. That's when it originally came out. It was designed to let players change the layouts of objects in existing maps. Over time, the mode has evolved to become a fully fledged map editor, and 343 Industries promises that Halo Infinite's version will be the most featured heavy yet, with players being able to scale objects, create AI bots, and script them, and use new lighting and audio tools. Dude, there's a lot here to unpack, right? According to the blog post, up to 8 players will be able to play Forge together, though it also notes that a last-minute bug means players have to all start at the game at the same time. 343 is currently working on fixing that, which will hopefully be fixed by mid-season. 343 Industries will also be adding community maps into matchmaking, but note that this will take a bit of time, since it first requires the community to create high-quality content, which then needs to be tested by 343, who will work with the author to make sure it meets their requirements. I do like that, Scott, but are we now building out a whole separate team over at 343 to incorporate content from the community?
That will certainly require some of their personnel, but at the same time, I feel like I'm becoming the next team at 343 if I'm making the maps. Blood Gulch, Valhalla, Midship. There's many. Hang 'em High. Oh, I want a good Hang 'em High. I haven't seen that since Halo 1 or 2. I can't remember.
It also notes that it's looking into the possibility of adding campaign AI to Forge modes, stating, quote, We see a lot of potential in allowing players to create experiences that lean into the cooperative / PvE space, end quote. This doesn't appear to be coming anytime soon. However, we're not announcing anything today, and this is a long lead work. 343 Industries states as well, but it's definitely an opportunity we're interested in and excited to pursue. A lot
firefight
going
mode,
on.
almost. It'll allow me to create a firefight mode. I really like the idea of that, because as much fun as it is to try and imagine an enemy team, and build a fair map, it's so much more fun to build like an asymmetrical map, an attack and defend. If we have to defend the castle from waves and waves of Covenant, that's the way to play. That's fun.
Scott, is this enough to pull you in?
That's as close as I can get to faking the co-op campaign, actually.
Well, oh man, just one misstep after another misstep after another misstep on such a beloved franchise. Scott, does this put worry then into the minds of what Fable looks like for you?
Ooh, a little bit, but being that it's, well, as far as I know, only a single player experience, I think that saves us from a lot of this fear. Although if the content just isn't there, if they try and do a live it's a game of service thing. I think all my complaints really just loop back to, I'm not a fan of games of service.
No,
the only ones that I appreciate are MMOs.
Massive's done it right, I feel, over at Ubisoft with the Division 2. They've really kind of crushed that and kept that community going to the point where they've ended their seasons and they've had to go and make another season because the community is like, hey, this is so good, you guys can't stop. And they just keep going, right? And that's,
it's like how Candy Crush will always be updated.
Yeah. Well, hey, Activision is about to get transferred over to Microsoft, so now it's under Xbox brand. Weird.
Oh, and the Activision, just from the intro here, Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1 came out in 2005.
Okay.
Was absolutely the best one ever until Call of Duty World at War. I will debate anybody who thinks otherwise. And I'm really hoping that can make its way out of the vault. If Activision truly is pulling things from past IPs, past time zones.
Yeah.
And it was quite a while ago now, 17 years on, but I still remember the game.
Well, we'll see. Right now, there's also rumors. Let's get back into the article here. Certain Infinity is also working on something that's massive, apparently, for Halo Infinite. And what could that be? A lot of speculation, Scott, went right to Battle Royale, right? I think that makes a lot of sense. They said they'll never have a Battle Royale game, and I think they're not exactly leading us in the right direction, I'm going to say, because I think it's coming. I think they have to incorporate it. I think it would be a missed opportunity if it wasn't there, because they need something. I don't know if Forge is enough, because not everybody is looking to jump into Forge mode to create something. Not everybody's looking to jump into Forge mode to play the games that are there, because you have to curate that community, because you're going to get a lot of good stuff, but you're going to get a lot of crap as well. And there's how do you sift through all the junk, right? My
memory from Halo 3 was almost 90% of it was bad.
Dude, I go to Trials by Ubisoft. I love the Trials franchise, but there's a whole community there that can make their own tracks. Some of them are really, really good, like fantastic, to the point where like it's developer quality, and then others you're like, whoa, this is not. I
had a similar experience with Mario Maker. It was really good, really fun. Some of it was awful, but then everybody kind of got their own idea. Let's make it impossible. And every single map you'd load up became impossible. I don't think we'll get the same issue here with Halo, but the idea that outsourcing your multiplayer map making is kind of scary.
But so they're going to get into script work as well. And if you're not a programmer, like that can be really daunting to get into. There's a lot that's kind of going on under the hood that people just don't understand when it comes to video games. I'm no scripter at all. No thanks. I just don't want to do that. I want to build something.
We've not yet played with animation in our videos. That's probably the first step if we were to get into scripting.
Yeah, there's a few things we got coming up for next year. It's gonna be a big year next year, but we'll talk about that sooner than later. Scott, let's get back into it as we get into the world of Phil Spencer, as he's looking to be excited about the idea of revisiting titles like StarCraft. If they kind of pull off this Activision deal? This comes from Owison over at VG247. Well, Xbox head Phil Spencer can't make any calls in older Activision Blizzard franchises. He has said, quote, what could happen, end quote, with titles like StarCraft is exciting. Phil Spencer has previously expressed his excitement over the possibility of older Activision Blizzard IPs being revived under Microsoft. And in a recent interview with Wired, he once again spoke about his excitement over the possibility of revisiting titles like StarCraft or Warcraft. Right off the bat,
there's the big one.
He's clear that he can't make any big choices with Activision Blizzard, saying, quote, the first thing I would say is I'm not allowed to make any decisions about what happens at Blizzard or Activision or King. So this is all just kind of talking and thinking about what the opportunity is. Not only StarCraft, but Warcraft, when you think about the heritage of RTS games that we're talking about here, specifically from Blizzard, end quote. Scott, the possibilities are there, man, if they pull them in. Like, that's huge.
I'm going to be so upset if they only bring Warcraft 3 to the current day. That was my least favorite one. And a lot of people will disagree with that, but sure. I was around since Warcraft 1, which was
really
admittedly not so good. Warcraft 2, amazing. I never played StarCraft, but in any case, these coming forward, StarCraft 2 is a juggernaut. I think it's still supported in an international sense.
I've never played any of them. Weird.
It might be a little bit of a hard start, but if you want to jump on some Command and Conquer.
Well, I played Command and Conquer. I played Red Alert. I grew up on that franchise, but I just never got into the StarCraft, Warcraft side of things at all. So I'm curious to see if they're able to pull it off. I think the biggest thing right now, where everybody's waiting for it, is to see if I believe it's in March, we should know. It still seems a ways away yet, but that's when we are supposed to find out if Microsoft will then actually be able to acquire Activision Blizzard for $68.9 billion.
Oh.
Yeah, so time will tell, and then from there, how long does it take us to get these games, Scott, if that even is possible?
How long has the Activision deal been active for now?
It's got to be at least a year. Yeah, absolutely, well over a year. So I don't know. We'll see if that comes around or not. Scott, what we could see is Assassin's Creed Valhalla be rumored to launch on Steam. This is interesting for one particular reason. Because Ubisoft doesn't put anything on Steam. That's the biggest thing.
I was wondering, Ubisoft Connect, is that active now? I haven't actually followed it.
So Ubisoft has always favored Epic Games, as well as their own store, the Uplay store, right? So it's been there. They don't go over to Steam typically. They recently took a bunch of games off of Steam, so it's kind of been up and down as to where Ubisoft is when it comes to playing nice with Steam. Here's the biggest thing, Scott. I took a look at it this morning. There's 120 million active monthly users on Steam. 69 million of those players are daily users.
Holy.
Why wouldn't you want to be there?
Yeah.
Right? Like, Ubisoft is all about making money.
Looking at you, Nintendo.
Super Mario coming to Steam. That's you heard it here first. Yeah, not likely.
Yeah, put Ocarina in there and let mods come out. Oh man, that would be the sell of a century right there.
I think they would have a huge opportunity. We see a lot of studios kind of going as many places at once. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, because it's a little too much for the teams to handle. Then they're not able to optimize for all the platforms, right? I think that's the biggest thing. 9 times out of 10, games are built first on PC and then ported over to the consoles, because PC is just a lot easier to work with. It's a lot more powerful. There's just other abilities there, right? Where when you get into the consoles, now granted, Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5 are more like PCs than they've ever been. So things are starting to mesh into almost like one little cohesive unit. But we'll see if they can get Valhalla over on Steam. Is that something you think we start to see more of, Scott, out of Ubisoft coming over to the other side of the PC world as well?
I think so. Yeah, I would sort of expect what's happened with Sony, where they kind of test the waters, but it works out. So they kind of keep testing the water.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense to me. 69 million daily active users, man. I don't know.
Oh, that's a lot. And I'm certain a lot of them would enjoy Assassin's Creed. Perhaps some have it on console already, though. That's the trade-off that you have to look at.
Yeah, because it's older, right? But if you already have it, just put it out there. Somebody's gonna buy it. That's how I look at it. Somebody's already gonna, oh man, now it's on Steam. Okay, instant purchase. Charge maybe even, I don't know, 3/4 of the price. Like not quite a whole $80. Maybe charge only $60, $50, and then charge all for the DLC because there's a ton of DLC for Valhalla.
Now I'm doing it again. When did Valhalla come out?
2 years ago, dude. It was 2 years ago.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. I was like, wow. Okay, it's been around for 2 years.
Almost to the day.
Yeah, right. So
on the 10th, it will have been 2 years.
Oh man, Scott, I want to get in one last article real quick here. You ready for this? Because this is all you, buddy. 6 years after its launch, Battlefield 1 has 10 times the player count of disastrous Battlefield 2042.
I've seen a lot of reaction online to this.
This is from Dom over at VG 24/7, and here we are, almost a year later, and we're seeing the entire Battlefield fan base operate with the same sentiment. The game is so bad that all players you'd expect to be glued onto the latest title have instead wandered off to play Battlefield 1. Over the past 24 hours, the 2016 game has attracted a tasty 51,000 concurrent players on Steam. It's an all-time user high.
I've gone back a few times myself.
That's you keep talking about it. I'm like, this has got to make the show today. Now, granted, they did have a Steam sale for like nearly $5 you can pick up the game. But dude, it's 51,000 players where you would expect all these players to be on your latest title, not one that's 6 years old.
Yeah, or well, let's not forget Battlefield 5 was in between these two as well. I think that one's just completely thrown to the wayside.
Did you like 5?
5 was okay. My first impression of it was I didn't like it at all.
Really? Well, everybody right now is in Battlefield 1, which is just
the best one in my opinion.
Well, and there it is, right? Because nobody wants to play Battlefield 2042 because it was such a disastrous launch. We talked about how Halo struggled. Battlefield beat that. Like Battlefield took that to a whole other level this year. It was just so disappointing. Dude, I didn't think we're gonna have to do the best games this year and then like the worst games to launch this year.
There's a sad list, but I think it would be worthwhile.
Scott, we do have a couple of games out today though, my friend. What do we have?
We have Soulstone Survivors on PC into early access. We have Astro Colony on PC and The Unliving on PC and Mac.
I don't know what that one is, but I've seen Soulstone Survivors around and kind of kicking around. It has, like you said, gone into early access, so it's something I'm kind of watching at the forefront. We'll see if we ever get into it. There's so many games on the go right now. It is nuts.
It never stops.
No, it doesn't, right? So there's a lot more. What do we have coming up next week?
I would like them to I would like to sleep.
That's somebody maybe just cut us a break just a little bit because we could use some time to catch up on stuff. Dude, I got a platinum there that I have to. That's like my high priority this year is platinum God of War Ragnarok. I know. There's always ones I try for, but I'm waiting for the 9th so the trophies actually open up so I can see what I'm missing. It's one of those, Scott. It's crazy. But dude, just like that, everybody, thank you so much for watching. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live at 11 a.m. Eastern over on Twitch and YouTube. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew. That's Scott. We'll see you inside the game.